Hi, my name is Mary, and today we're going to talk about the dip stitch. This is a simple technique that creates an elongated V on the right side of your fabric, as well as an eyelet effect at the base of each V. The texture that this creates can make for some interesting patterns when worked in multiple colors. You can see what the fabric looks like in 2 or 3 colors in Jared Flood's Kitelines hat, which uses dip stitches that are offset on each round to create a sort of lattice motif. I've done a swatch with the same motif here. So to form the dip stitch, you'll work to where you want your first V to sit. I'm just going to go a couple stitches. And then you'll use your right needle to go in between the stitch on your right needle and the first stitch on your left needle under the top 2 strands of yarn that go between them. So I'm going to stick my needle from front to back under these 2 strands, and then you'll wrap your working yarn around the right needle and pull up a loop that will then stay on your right needle. You don't want to pull this loop too tight because it's going to be slipped, and then you want to make sure that it's still elongated. So for this pattern, I'm making a dip stitch every couple stitches, so I'm just going to do a few more. So here's my next one. I'm going to go under the top 2 strands between my needles, pull up a loop, and that goes on the right needle, and then knit a couple more, and then insert my needle front to back under those top 2 strands, pull up another loop. I'll keep going, pulling up all of my dip stitches to the end of the row. So here's another one, like so. And again, leaving our dip stitches not too tight. So here's another dip, and knit 2 here. Here's another dip. And then one more after this one. So each dip stitch increases our stitch count by 1, and we'll eventually need to resolve this to avoid changing the width of the fabric. But first, we're going to work another row in stockinette stitch and slip those dipped stitches so they don't become part of the fabric, purlwise with the yarn to the wrong side. So since we're working flat, it's going to be to the front. So I'm going to work my selvage, and then 1 stitch, and then here we're to our first dip stitch, which you can tell is there because of the little gap underneath. So we're going to slip that with the yarn in front since we're on the wrong side, and then purl another couple till we get to the next one, and then slip that, the yarn in front again, and we're going to work across all of our stitches like this. You can fast forward here. So now we've worked across our row, slipping the dip stitches. You can see them a little better on the right side, how they go down below the current row. Since we're working in 2 colors, I'm going to switch colors for the next row and work to 1 stitch before the first dip stitch. So here, that's just my selvage. And then I'm going to slip the next 2 stitches, so the dip stitch and the one that comes before it, as if to knit 2 together, but I'm just slipping them. So I'm slipping them both at once, and then I'm going to return what was this first stitch to the left needle in the correct orientation so that it doesn't get twisted. I'm going to knit 2, and then I'm going to use my left needle to leapfrog the dip stitch over those 2 stitches and off the right needle. So I'll show you that again. Here we're 1 stitch before the next dip stitch. So we're going to slip 2 as if to knit 2 together, And then return the non-dip stitch to the left needle, keeping the dip stitch on your right needle. Knit 2. And then pass that dip stitch over those 2 stitches. This places the dip stitch on the front of the fabric as the V that you see, centered over the 2 stitches from between which it was pulled. And then you'll repeat this to resolve the other dip stitches on your needle, which will restore your previous stitch count. So we're going to do the rest of them here. So I've got another dip stitch and the one before it. Just slip them together at once as if to knit 2 together. Return that one to the left needle, knit 2, and pass the dip stitch over onto the end of the row. So now we've worked across the row and resolved all of our dip stitches. So now they're sitting really nicely on the front of the fabric and are no longer affecting our stitch count. And there you have it, dip stitch. Happy knitting.